Hey, welcome. Peak Performance Secrets starts right now. Welcome, welcome. There is more for you, and I believe that you should manifest your brilliance and let's go for more. Whatever more represents, more income, more impact, more clarity, more awareness, more assertiveness, whatever more represents. My name is Kamoye Benjamin, and I identify as a peak performance coach. What that means is that I come alongside individuals or teams and help them deploy themselves at the optimum mindset and skill set required in order for them to create more. We work with teams in different parts of the world, not just back here, down here at home in Africa, Kenya, where I live, but also in India and the larger part of Asia, in the Americas as well. And we're delighted to work with individuals and teams. In this Peak Performance Secrets Lunch and Learn, my objective is to share from my journey, my experiences, and hopefully that as you listen and tune in, the insights, awareness, and ahas that you will gain will help you to navigate your peak performance journey, creating more, whatever more represents for you. Now, this week we've been talking about decisiveness, a topic that's really up there in the list of the skill sets and the mindset for creating more decisiveness. Yesterday, I talked about how to make big decisions appear small. If you missed that, you want to watch that. I think it was absolutely amazing. Today, I want to dive into something that also I believe is really important, and it's why good opinions are bad when you're making a decision. Why good opinions are bad when you're making a decision. Are you that kind of person who is hesitating when you're just about to make a decision? Are you the person who delays and you're constantly wanting to appease all the different parties before you make a decision? Do you hope that things are going to resolve themselves before you make a decision? Are you cautious when you are communicating the intention and the decision that you want to make, seeking to kind of build and consensus and get buy-in from people? You want to tune in today because there's a very high likelihood that good opinions could be holding you back when you are making a decision. Good opinions are just that, good opinions. When you are in the space of reaching a decision, remember, yesterday we defined a decision as simply from the word decidere. It's a Latin word. The root of the word decision is in Latin, decidere, which is to cut off. And decision has almost the same root word as incision, to cut off. And cutting off may feel a bit like a painful process for some. It may feel like, letting go in order for us to, gain something else. And that process is normally a point at which where we probably want to check in with people and find out, what do you think about this? I want to get the opinion of the other person. Hey, that is the worst thing that you can do when you're just about to make a decision. I see it this way. Opinions are to the decision-making process what rust is to metal. It corrodes the metal. Rust eats. Rust corrodes. Rust corrupts. Rust destroys metal. In the same way, opinions corrode. Opinions corrupt. Opinions weaken. Opinions introduce self-doubt. But what are opinions really? What is an opinion? An opinion is a view. It's just somebody's view, their judgment formed about something. It's not necessarily based on facts or knowledge. It's just their perspective. And to a large extent, a lot of people's opinions, views, and judgments are informed by their beliefs, are informed by their thinking. Another definition that I love from the dictionary is an appraisal formed in the mind about a particular matter. That is what an opinion is. And so even when I called it a good opinion, I actually wanted to qualify the idea that the person who is coming to share with you this idea is coming from a well-intentioned spirit and posture. They mean well. They want to help you. They want to serve you. Actually, if you ask them, this is the best way they know how to help you. To tell you, but what about? But what if? And all that. And if there's anything that we know from decisions is that, they're coming from limiting beliefs. It's from my own perspective, which may be limited in the context of what you're trying to create. They are subjective. They are open to discussion and debate. They're not necessarily based on facts. Sometimes they are outright lies that were passed on to me by someone else. They are inaccurate. They confirm the biases of the person who is listening. They have variables. It's not absolute. And it's based on judgment and interpretations. And they risk they run the risk of groupthink that, this is how we've always done it. It's somebody's point of view. Opinions, even when they are good, they are kryptonite. They are kryptonite for you who's trying to make a decision. My mentor Paul shared with me this way, and I just wanted to put it in an image. He said, opinions are like belly buttons. Everyone has one, and they should probably keep it to themselves. Opinions are like belly buttons. Everybody has one, and they should probably keep it to themselves. You see, opinions influence many people when they're just about to reach the decision point. And if others' points of view that are limited, if they influence you when you reach decisions, you will never succeed in any undertaking. Because even when you've made the decision, on the other side of the decision, somebody will still seek to persuade you based on their opinions why you should not have invested, why you should not have started that business, why you should not have quit that, why you should not, and why you should, and why you should. People walk around shooting everybody else. They walk around shooting people. I remember when I was of the mind that I wanted to quit employment and step into my advertising business and concentrate and give my time to it. I was operating from a certain level of awareness where I had noticed that if I had applied myself accurately and with excellence for a day, I was able to replace my monthly income. I was operating from that level of awareness. And after careful consideration and really wrestling within me, I reached out to my boss, who was then my mentor, and it's somebody I respect. And there was a lot at stake at that time. And I said, I want to be able to step into business. I want to move from where I am. I want to move into the next step of my journey. I believe this is the next step in my journey. I shared with him what my reasons for resignation were. He was not very excited about it. I was a useful, employee and member of staff. But the dream that is within me, just like the dream that is within you, it comes into your conscious awareness and it begins to guide you through the spirit that is within you, guiding and nudging you to say, this is the way, this is the direction, this is the next step you need to take. And when somebody is not operating at that level of conscious awareness and being fully aware of the outcome, desire, and possibility, and being fully aware of the resources that are within you, though they may come to you with a good intention, though they may come to you with a good opinion, the truth is that opinion, while it is meant to serve you, it will sabotage you. Actually, they are not intending to sabotage you. Majority of the people are not. They're only operating at a level of awareness. Is how do I protect Benjamin? And I remember my good friend, the guy who had really brought me into that organization, he told me, what are you doing? Why are you throwing your life away? This was in 2007. This was in 2007, yes, or 2007. And he came to me and he said, and he called me. He bought me lunch. He had never bought me lunch before. And he said, I want to talk to you about something. I've heard that 1, 2, 3, 4, you've resigned. What are you thinking about? I mean, how's it going to go? This guy knew where I was coming from. He knew my background. He knew my family. He knew how we were struggling at that point. He knew that this was the best thing that had happened to me and my family. How could I just up and leave? Moving into uncertainty. What was I going to do there? He kind of had this idea and plan of my life, and what he completely saw the entire picture. He was kind of playing the role of God in my life, and she'd be like, this is how things are going to go for you. And I told him I have a different plan. I was crazy enough because I was talking to him about starting an advertising business. And I was telling him about scrolling displays, which were going to cost me 14 million Kenyan shillings. Look at this guy dreaming about 14 million Kenyan shillings, 140,000 US dollars. My friend, you're struggling to pay rent. Your rent is less than $90. You're dreaming of 140,000 for a truck, just to buy the truck, ship the truck before you even bring in the mechanism. Long story short, the following year, at the end of that year, there was an election in 2007. And there was post-election violence in Kenya. And that was the wrong time to have started a business. That was the wrong time to have stepped out of gainful employment. Because when you have a salary, whatever happens in the economy, if your employer is able to cushion you for those months, you stay home and you take a salary every month. Oh, happy day. If you're in business and you've got to, eat what you hunt and kill, if there's no hunting, you're starving. And I was starving. I was like, man, I should have listened to that guy. But guess what? My desire was so strong in that particular moment, I was not going to listen to anything. You see, opinions kill desire. In the book, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill is talking about it in the chapter, and I'm gonna read it for you. He says, the majority of people who fail to accumulate money sufficient for their needs are generally easily influenced by the opinions of others. They permit the newspapers and the gossiping neighbors to do their thinking for them. And he goes on to say, if you are influenced by the opinions, when you reach decisions, you will not succeed in any undertaking. I just showed you that slide. Much less in that of transmuting your own desire into money. And he goes on to say, I'm going to pull this over here. He goes on to say, if you are influenced by the opinions of others, you will have no desire of your own. You will have no desire of your own. My friend meant well. His was a good opinion, like the many that you're going to face or may have faced in the past. Good opinions, but they're not operating from the level of awareness of, number one, who you are and whose you are. Number two, the blueprints of greatness that have been deposited within you. Number three, the next step in what God is seeking to do in and through you. What is the meaning of desire? Desire is the effort of an unexpressed possibility. They've never seen this part about you, and it's seeking to be birthed within and through you. And when you allow opinions to come in, they dim your light. Opinions question why you want to take that step. Opinions interrogate your reason. Opinions, they uproot the young seedlings that are yet to develop. They uproot the belief that is yet to form within you, and they question her. I remember when I made a move and kind of stepped into the space that I'm in coaching. I had a friend of mine again who called me and he said, you've left advertising, you're going into coaching. I know your story, I know your background. How are you going to do this? And I remember connecting with my mentor, Paul, and I said, Paul, this is what's happening in my life. I just feel like I don't know how to explain myself, and I'm trying to build this, and I don't know. And he said, Benjamin, let me tell you, you're barely trying to understand it. Hey, you who's watching me, you're barely trying to understand your dream. And you want to move forward and create what you sense is possible for you and through you. You're barely understanding it. What business do you have making someone else understand it? So what does Napoleon Hill say? Napoleon says, and I love this quote, I'm going to put this to you. Whenever there's an incident, just place a microphone in front of somebody's mouth. They're going to open it and they'll say something. At the scene of an accident, they're going to say something. What's happening in the economy, they're going to say something. What's going on in business, they're going to say something. About a neighbor and their wife and their relations with their children, they're going to say something. Opinions are the cheapest commodities on earth. Everyone has a flock of opinions about farming, about technology, about AI, about God, about money, about sex, about politics, about religion, anything. Everyone has a flock of opinions that are ready to be wished upon anyone who will accept them. And so the invitation is that when you reach decisions, you've looked at the aspect from all the angles that you need to look at it. Here's what the counsel is. Keep your own counsel. Keep your own counsel. Turn your back. Turn your back like an orchestra conductor. Turn your back to the grins or the smiles or the frowns of your audience and be the conductor of the dream as it's unfolding. You're the master. You know how it needs to go and the tempo and when it needs to pause. Turn your back to the audience and look at every part of you, the resources that are within you, and conduct the harmony, the symphony that seeks to be birthed within and through you. It was gifted to you, not to them, not to others. Keep your own counsel. Here's something else that I want to share with you. I'm going to be done in a minute. Inferiority complexes play a big role in holding people back when they are reaching decisions. And what are inferiority complexes? These are consistent feelings of inadequacy, inferiority, or less competent compared to others. I've talked about this in another, video. You can reach for it where it says, "Is inferiority a smack in the face of God?" I think that's the title. You should be able to find it on my YouTube channel. This feeling of inadequacy often leads to a sense of self-doubt. I'm just about to make a decision, but what about? Am I capable? Do I know? Low self-esteem. Am I worthy of this? Can I do this? Lack of self-confidence. Do I have what it takes? And this is what opinions do. Opinions did this to you when you were growing up. Majority of people that I meet with in coaching sessions did not lose their sense of self-confidence as adults. They lost it as children because someone had an opinion when you were about to do something. They questioned your ability. They questioned your thinking. Instead of allowing you to go ahead and do the thing and fall and learn your own lessons, do you know that when children, I've got 4 children, and my two who are young, 4 and 2, I see them when they're doing dangerous things, and I see them going on top of a chair. I'm conscious and aware not to project my beliefs on them. And I'm like, you're going to fall. I might tell them, be careful, but I want to tell them to make sure. I want to tell them to make sure that they're being careful. And so if they continue climbing on the chair and then they fall, I have noticed something. That they cry less when they teach themselves the lesson than when you actually make them fall. It's just an interesting thing that I've seen. And even with adults, when we step out in a certain direction and we don't get the results that we wanted, we're able to stand up, dust ourselves off, and get back into the game. But if we were sent by someone into that venture, into that mission, and we fall, our cry is much louder. You know what I'm talking about. You've seen this in your own life. I've seen it in my own life. When I went to do things that I was not persuaded I should be doing, that I had been convinced against my will to step in and do, and then they didn't work, I had someone to blame. I said it was them. It was because, and I don't want to. But when I sent myself and I fell, I stood up and I looked within and I self-adjusted and corrected myself and I stepped back into the ring. Inferiority complexes were created by relatives, neighbors. When they ridiculed us when we were about to do something, the ridicule was supposed to be humorous, but it had a deeper impact on us. It was like a knife through us. Opinions of others of why we should not do and why we should not try and why we are not the kind of person who can. And why we should not think that way, and why whatever we've thought wrong, we should think how they want to think. Opinions. People have opinions about everything, and they're ready to wish upon anyone those opinions. The awareness that I want you to have is to keep your own counsel. Hear them, block them out. Hear them and block them out. Hear them and block them out. The most important thing is not even that you're going to be right. And I talked about that. Don't be attached to the idea of being right. I was not attached to the idea of how my coaching business is going to go. I'm not attached to the idea of how these peak performance sessions are going to pan out in my strategy. I'm not attached to that. Do I have a plan? I have a plan. Do I have ideas? Yes. Do I have expectations? Yeah, right on. Am I measuring them? 100%, you bet. But I'm not attached to that outcome. I'm not waiting for that outcome to tell me what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this. I made a decision to do this starting the 4th of August, every single weekday. At the time of this recording, it's 10th October. I've been smashing every weekday, 1 o'clock, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I'm going to do a teaching on a particular topic. I made this decision to do this. Are there opinions of what I should do differently? They abound. Ask any of my viewers. Ask any of my clients. Ask anybody out on the road who probably don't even know this show goes on. They'll have an opinion about it. And when you have that desire, that's not the right word in this context. When you have within you a longing, when you have within you a need, that's the correct word, a need to make sure that others are in line and aligned and are happy about your next step, there's a very high likelihood that you're not just seeking counsel, that you have an inferiority complex and you're more concerned about how people will think and what people will say, and you want to be able to appease the gallery. You want to be able to appease the audience. You don't want them to have strong emotional responses. You don't want them to be unhappy. You don't want conflict to ensue. The whole idea of decision is to cut out. Decision means cutting out. And when you cut out options, somebody's going to be unhappy about that. Somebody's going to think differently about that. And when we note that people have certain opinions of us to do a particular thing, when we do the opposite, it's almost as though we're telling them, be unhappy. And we cannot contain that within us. We cannot sit knowing that someone else is unhappy, because if they are unhappy with something that I did, then it means that I am what? And this is the work that I do with those that come into my coaching sessions, to help you understand how are you using this gift of empathy, the gift of concern, the gift of care for others to sabotage your own growth and development. Excuse me, that you're more concerned about how Benjamin is going to think. And you don't want to hurt Benjamin, because if you make that decision, Benjamin is going to be unhappy. Note that that's a gift, but it's a gift that's being run from what we call a reactive structure, and it's limiting the fullest expression of your capacity and your potential. Can I show you something? Can I show you something? We call this in the leadership circle the complying dimension. And in other words, what is the complying dimension? The extent to which, look at this, the extent to which you get a sense of worth and security by complying with the expectations of others rather than acting on what you intend. Do you see decisions right there? Do you see decisions right there? Acting on what you intend and want. That's the complying dimension. And so we measure this in leadership. And just to kind of give you what we call the inner game. The inner game is the way that you think. The inner game is the mindset. And the inner game here is, I'm okay if people like me. That's an inferiority complex. I'm worthy when others approve of me. That's an inferiority complex. I need to live up to others' expectations to succeed. That's an inferiority complex. I can stay safe by supporting others. If you believe this, these are beliefs that you use to organize your identity. These are the inner rules. that define how you see yourself and your relationship to the world. If you believe that the world is a dangerous place and caution makes you safe, that's an inferiority complex. And how do you behave? You cautiously manage what you do in order to stay in the good graces of others. I don't want Benjamin to be unhappy. You say yes when you may want to say no. Look at the impact of these thought patterns on decisions. And so what happens in the long term? Behavior. You're non-assertive. You don't speak your mind. You play by the rules. You fit in. You submit to others' needs, though your decision is to do something different. You deny your own aspirations. Do you see the death of desire right there? My friends, if I had at my command the time, I would walk you step by step. I walk you step by step through the inner game and how it forms the outer game, and do this for you so that you can snap out of this grip that opinions has of you. Opinions damaged your self-confidence growing up. Opinions are damaging your decisiveness and your resources to step forward and take that decision. I know that too well. I see it in so many people. I know that too well. It was my own journey, and I see how I was standing in my complying. First time I ever did this assessment, 2005. Very high scores in complying. That's a gift, but run in a structure of mind that limits authentic expression, that limits productive engagement, that limits my ability to step out, because I'm more concerned about being liked, loved, and accepted. I'm more concerned about meeting the demands of the gallery. And remember, that's a strength. And so my invitation to you is begin to develop the awareness that opinions are kryptonite to decision making. Kryptonite is that green stone that, according to the movie by Superman, it's the only stone that can make him powerless. It's the only stone that can sap his strength. Opinions are the greatest enemy when you're making decisions. I would love to invite you to work with me one-on-one, either in private coaching or peak performance mentorship. Scan this code and you'll get links that will give you spaces to begin to work with me. At the time that I'm recording this, the only ways that you can work with me is either watch this free teaching that I do every weekday from 1 p.m. or jump on a private coaching, which is more like a first class experience with you, or in a group mentorship, peak performance mentorship. And there's a lot of details on how to do that, really giving value and serving and support you to step in and create more, whatever more represents. I've enjoyed teaching this subject today. I hope that you've enjoyed tuning in and listening. Let me know in the comments what you've taken away as a key idea, what has resonated with you, and share this with others who may need to hear this at this point as they're in their dream building and development journey. Until tomorrow, when we talk about something that again concerns decisiveness, I look forward to seeing you then. Be well for now, and bye-bye. Blessings.